We just got Josh's.
We're all set. Okay, it's June 25th, 2025, 7 o'clock. Planning board meeting is now in session. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Your mic's down in front of you.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tony Grant,
Here.
Francis Martindale,
Here.
Josh Fisher. Michael Page,
Here.
Rose Alvatore,
Here.
Mary Ellen Ellison,
Here.
and Chairman John Krasinski.
Okay, first on our agenda is the public hearing for the special use permit. Make a motion that we open the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
So Karen, you have to read the,
I don't have to read it completely.
Okay.
It was published June 17th, and I have the list of all the property owners that received copies of the notice. I did not receive anything in my office, either by email, or by phone call, and no one came in and asked to look at the file. Tucker, is that true?
Yes, I haven't had.
Tucker, he hadn't received anything either.
I don't think there's anybody here. Is there anybody online?
Diane, he's not on video, so.
Oh, you have to be on video.
She's not ready. You can like raise your hand. but-
Okay. All right, just so she knows, the public hearing is open right now, so if anybody have any comments on Zoom, let us know.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
So that part's. Now we can proceed with your special use permit. To remove the seeker. I thought Mike was gonna. That's what you quiet before. I know.
Stay on the line.
At least it's a short form. Yeah.
So we just need to read through part 2. that Answer those questions.
If everyone has reviewed part 1, yes.
Oh, okay, that's great. Well, I can do that then. Everybody read through part 1, any problems with part 1?
No.
Okay.
You better read through them quickly then.
Yeah,
And
it's
We can go through them. It won't take long.
Yeah, I want to. I can go through them. Number 2. You have any objections to anything, just speak up. Otherwise, we'll go with the answer that's given. This is for Craig Conley Jr. for a special use project permit.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, starting at number 1. Does the proposed action only involve the legislative adoption of a plan, local law, ordinance, administrative rule, or regulation? No. Does the proposed action require a permit, approval, or funding from any other governmental agency It was no, and
And
then
now it's yes.
has been changed to yes.
And there's no listing of what.
It's Warren County Building Codes.
Warren County
It's the
building.
permit.
Number 3A, total acreage of the site of the proposed actions, 13 acres. B, total acreage to be physically disturbed, less than 1 acre. Total acreage, project site and any contiguous properties owned or controlled by the applicant or project sponsor, 13 acres. Check all land uses that occur on, adjoining, and near the proposed action. Residential is checked. I don't know if number 14's checks for forest and agriculture means that those should also be checked for number
Yeah,
4.
I think so.
Should it be checked?
That's. It won't hurt to check them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think we should, if you're gonna check it for 14.
Yeah, so forest and
Agriculture.
agricultural.
Does making those sorts of changes now affect
Right.
things or? Not a big.
No.
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 Okay, number 5 is proposed action a permitted use under the zoning regulations. Yes was checked. Consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan. Yes was also checked. Number 6 is the proposed action consistent with the predominant character of the existing built or natural landscape. Yes was checked. Number 7 is the site of the proposed action located in or does it adjoin a state listed critical environmental area? No was checked. Number 8A. Will the proposed action result in a substantial increase in traffic above present levels? No was checked. B. Are public transportation services available at or near the site of the proposed action? No was checked. C. Are any pedestrian accommodations or bicycle routes available on or near the site of the proposed action? No was checked.
I have a question. Snowmobile trail. It's not gonna be anywhere near.
Snowmobile shows up the road.
It's. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh,
I know you want, but I just wanted to get it on record.
Okay. Does that satisfy your question?
Yes.
Okay. Number 9, does the proposed action meet or exceed the state energy code requirements? And A. Is that
So
all right to have that
Are you gonna-
versus yes or no?
what building are you gonna have? You're gonna have electricity? No? Oh,
just a.
Shell.
Basically.
okay.
I would mark,
Well,
no.
yes, you should have, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
no, yes, but we'll mark no.
Number 10, will the proposed action connect to an existing public or private water supply? No was originally checked, but it was changed to yes. If yes, does the existing system have capacity to provide service?
He wanted to change that answer because in the future, if he wanted to put anything in there, he wanted it on there as being reviewed. But he has no plans now to have water there.
So should you do that to 9
I was
too,
just
in
gonna-
case you want to put electric there at one point?
I was just gonna ask that. I do not want to handicap anybody in the future if I ever sell the building or anything like that.
Right.
So I
Could I
mean,
change that for number 9 as well?
no still applies for number 9. I would just take out the NA.
Right. Does the proposed action meet or exceed?
Or when
Wouldn't you have to
or
change
You
it?
should check yes,
meet or
actually.
exceed?
That's why he's
Oh.
asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
We should check yes.
By the.
For the energy code, that's like for insulation in the building and that kind of thing.
Right.
So
So then just change that. to-
Well,
It's
that
just
may be a
shell.
no.
does the
then.
proposed action meet or exceed the
Yeah.
state energy
that
code
would be-
requirement? It, at least, I guess it meets it because it's an unheated building, so I guess you could change it to yes.
Okay,
But then if you,
Yeah, it's
Should-
not dwellings that we're.
if the proposed action will exceed, which it isn't, describe design features and technologies.
We don't need that.
So it won't exceed it, but if it met it, if it meets
It
it,
can just say yes and
Right.
leave it at that.
All right, so you're gonna
Was that-
change that to yes.
And can we put on the note?
I would put in a note on their unheated building.
There you go.
Unheated building for discussion.
Whose copy becomes like the
Mine,
Karen's? Okay.
So we're number 11.
we're,
Are we all right with number 10?
And-
Yes, and yes, private well? Was that
yeah,
all good? All right. Number 11, will the proposed action connect to existing wastewater utilities? Yes, no was previously checked, but now it's yes. If yes, does the existing system have capacity to provide service? Yes. And then the note of when house was built, absorption was overbuilt.
it should be absorption field.
Absorption field. Number 12A. Does the site contain a structure that is listed on either the state or national register of historic places? No. B, is the proposed action located in an archaeologically sensitive area? No. 13A, does any portion of the site of the proposed action or lands adjoining the proposed action contain wetlands or other water bodies regulated by a federal, state, or local agency? No. Would the proposed action physically alter or encroach into any existing wetland or water body? No. 14, identify the typical habitat types that occur on or are likely to be found on the project site. Check all that apply. Forest, agricultural grasslands for the chickens, and residential. Written in. 15, does the site of the proposed action contain any species of animal or associated habitats listed by the state or federal government as threatened or endangered? No. 16, is the project site located in the 100-year floodplain? No. 17, will the proposed action create stormwater discharge either from point or non-point sources? And no was checked. And then A was
Only if it was yes.
originally. Yep. Checked as no, but we just need to strike it. Does the 18, does the proposed action include construction or other activities that result in the impoundment of water or other liquids, i.e. a retention pond, waste lagoon, or dam? No. 19, has the site of the proposed action or an adjoining property been the location of an active or closed solid waste water or waste management facility? No. 20, has the site of the proposed action or an adjoining property been the subject of remediation ongoing or completed for hazardous waste? No. Signed by Craig Trombley Jr., 5/14/25. So no other comments on that, right? Should I continue on to part 2?
Yes, sure.
All right. So should I do the Mary thing, and if no one speaks up, we just assume that that means no or small impact may occur, and Karen will check that off as we go down the list.
Right.
Number 1. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area or CEA?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? Number 6. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? 7. Will the proposed action impact existing A, public or private water supplies? B, public or private wastewater treatment utilities? Number 8. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Number 9. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, i.e. wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? Number 10. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? Number 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? So all 11 numbers were officially no or small impact may occur for the check marks.
And also at the bottom, I'm going to check the box that says if you have determined based on the information and analysis above, and any supporting documentation that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. That's the box I will check. Okay, so we have the seeker. Referral, no significant impacts, the APA. We have a file, letter in file.
Yeah, we have a non-jurisdictional letter in the file.
Um, the application, we had the public hearing.
The county referral was received last month, no significant inter-community or countywide impact.
Okay. Okay, do we need to, before we approve or disapprove this, anybody have any questions for the applicant? You said you were going to paint, what color are you gonna paint the building? Or,
Was brown, not
Okay.
first tones.
good. Not that it's gonna stick out in the middle of nowhere, but.
No, my wife's not like that. Play by the rules.
So the final option is, do we approve the special use permit? Anybody else have any concerns or questions or thoughts?
Well, I make a motion to grant the special use permit.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, Tony Springer,
Yes.
Francis Martindale,
Yes.
Michael Page,
Yes.
Rosario Latour,
Yes.
Mary Ellen Wilson,
Yes.
and Chairman John Krinsky.
Yes,
All those yes, motion carried.
that's
Good
it.
luck.
Yes.
Good luck.
So I'll let Tom McKinney know and then you can proceed on with them, okay?
Okay,
All right,
thank you very much.
all right, and I'll record this tomorrow with the town clerk and give you a copy, okay?
Fine, thank you.
So, no, I'm just serious. No, that's not talk.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Nathan Hall. For the record, from Stafford Car McNally. I represent Scott Ripley. Kristen Garrett. Nope, Kristen's right here as well. I spoke to Scott and Kristen and they asked me to come tonight, believing that this was on the agenda. You know, basically, they asked me to come because I know that we've kind of gotten. You know, we were anticipating a decision on this earlier and, you know, I'm not aware of anything in your code that's holding this up. If there is, you know, they asked me to be here to certainly answer any questions for you. To try to get this back on track, my client from his perspective, is looking to do something fairly simple, buy land, merge it, not create any new lots, as the board is aware. Basically, he's just getting some more acreage so that he can eventually build a single family home on the property. You know, with more of a buffer from neighbors. So. I was not aware, obviously, that this was tabled, and I appreciate the board giving us the time tonight to speak with you, but I guess as a first step, you know, does the board, is there anything that I can answer? Does the board have questions on this project at all that I can assist in you know, clarifying for anyone tonight?
Harry's not here, of course.
Yeah, Mary's not here. I'm understanding that the attorney spoke to you. Am I correct?
Mary
That-
Cassane?
Mary Cassane?
Yes.
Yes. And my understanding is that Mary Cassane has also reached out to the other property owner, Gina Gent, that is going to be doing the boundary line adjustment with Mr. Ripley to try and come up with a solution to the road issue, because if we just go forward, if you just go forward with the boundary line adjustment as it is, it's creating a dead end there at the end of the road. The town had developed a dirt area that they had used for turning around for the plows and stuff, but it's not just plows, it's emergency vehicles and stuff that have to be considered. And in doing all of the research, we have found that there is a deed that exists where the town was deeded the road, and what was deeded to the town is not at this property, it's at the lot before. And another area. And so we, rather than,
And I'm aware of all that. I mean,
Right.
you're more than welcome to continue on. I understand that we're likely off the record, maybe we're not, but
and last I knew, the highway superintendent went up and looked, and again, trying to work with Gene again, trying to figure out if we could gain another piece for the turnaround in that area, what would he need? And he gave me that information. I passed that on to Kristen. And that's all I know at this point. I don't think anything has gone further than that. I did pass on Gina Gent's attorney to our attorney. And I don't know if she reached out or not. I don't know anything beyond that point is where it was left with me. I don't know if anything has been resolved.
so I mean, here's my position on that, right? Just so the board is aware. I've spoken with Mary Cassane. I've known Mary for a long time. We've spoken about this project, you know, prior to this coming for site plan review, and we've spoken since. She has told me, in my understanding, I've not attended a meeting before, so I don't know what's on the record or not, but she has told me point blank that she acknowledges and has advised the board that, you know, wanting an easement in this property is not a basis for, you know, denying the project or tabling it indefinitely. Certainly, like, don't rely on me for that. Like, I assume that she's advised you on that, and she's your town attorney for a reason. But that is the conversation that I've had with her, that, you know, we acknowledge that the town wanting an easement turnaround area on this property, you know, that's not within the planning board's purview on what you are and aren't allowed to consider on a project. I appreciate the town wants a turnaround area. Gina Gent, I spoke to Gina's attorney, Rayanne Johnson, yesterday about this, and said, you know, what has the conversation been with Gina and Mary? Because they spoke directly, because my client, Gina's an attorney. And you know, she essentially said, you know, they spoke briefly. She hasn't heard concretely one way or another what exactly the town is looking for, but her position, Rayanne's position, and my position is that Gina's hands are tied in that. If the town wants a piece of land that, you know, my client is under contract to sell, Gina cannot break the contract. She will get sued or be in breach of contract, at least, if she's under contract with my client and then, you know, cancels that, agrees with the town, yeah, I'll give this piece that I originally gave to Scott. They have an agreement that, you know, subject to all these things, that my client gets that piece of property. So I've already been told from Rayanne Johnson, Gina Gant, that like, they're not willing to do anything. They acknowledge that they have contractual rights to my client. They acknowledge that, you know, their hands are tied, they're under contract. Scott Ripley, my client, I mean, certainly the town can speak to him about something once he's the owner, but like at this point, obviously, he's just under contract and he can't buy it yet. So, you know, I don't know what solutions I can offer you on that, and I don't think, you know,
Well, I think at this point, because we don't have the attorney here, and I'm certainly not even gonna try to speak for her or advise you, because that's not my position. I think the best thing to do is you've stated your position and your client's position is we table it one more month, let Mary listen to this dialogue.
I mean, she's been a part of the dial. I mean, what are you waiting for her, if I may, and you don't have to, but like, what are you waiting for her to get back to you on? Like whether the,
It's not that we're waiting for her to get back to us. The board needs to make sure that we are not creating a dead end at this point, at the end of that road, because you've got to have emergency access and highway turnaround area, because it becomes a dead end right now. If
yeah. I mean, but correct me if I'm wrong, please, and I don't believe that any of these board members had anything to do with this, but like, the issue is certainly important, but it's also a problem, whether it's the planning board or the building code office or the town board or the highway superintendent. The problem is a problem, as I understand it, of the town's making, because you had a turnaround area on the neighbor's property. They have built a house in close proximity to that turnaround area. They've been, you know, and now it affects it. And a practical solution was certainly to go on to what my client is under contract to purchase, but it's not. Gina Gant does not have the authority to solve that problem for you. She's under contract. My client at this juncture does not have the ability to solve that either, because he can't purchase this property until the planning board has made a decision on it. And it's becoming, again, I appreciate, believe me, I was on the planning board in Lake George for a long time. Like I respect and appreciate everything you guys are doing and the service to the community. But at the same time, I hope that you can understand that my client has no ability to resolve this, and neither does the seller. And it's not really a matter within the scope of the planning board's review on this project. So this is the third meeting we're at. Kristen's been here 3 times. My client's asked me to come tonight. He's incurring costs on a project that he, you know, expected to be moving forward on in April. And now, I mean, we can't have this tabled indefinitely, you know, to my client's detriment. You know, when the parties to this contract, you know, Scott wasn't aware of this turnaround, this practical turnaround area when he contracted to buy it. I don't know what Gina Gant was aware of, but certainly, you know, there's nothing recorded. There's no deeded right that the town has to go through there. So again, like, I really feel as though, you know, I respect that this is tabled and we're not gonna have a decision tonight, but like, it is causing hardship for my client at this point that, you know, the board is looking for a solution to be worked out that no party, you know, can at this point for you. So we have to, you know, either deal with the turnaround area as it is, or, you know, proceed with this project, because, you know, as the town attorney has advised you, this is not something that, you know, the town can consider in denying or approving an application. So unless you have, or Mary has some new information, but that was the context of our last conversation.
Well, I think that the board, I think that the board needs to talk to Mary and decide whether they want to make their decision without any of this other issue having been resolved. And again, I can't take a position because but I was looking at my calendar to see if there was any way that we could call an earlier meeting. We've already moved next month's meeting up to the 22nd as it is, which is a day earlier than it was, but I don't know, do you want to call a special meeting, John, to try and talk about this, but I don't know what you want to do. You're the chairman.
Okay, well, I was just reading our minutes from the meeting that we had last month. And it just says here that. Let's see, table from last month, boundary line adjustments. Because it has two zones in it, residential town and residential rural, but where the boundary line is proposed, there's enough of both zones left to meet the required dimensions of the zones. The land that Ripley will be gaining, if approved, will all be in the residential town zone. And Mary went on to say, okay, so I'm going to throw Nate Hall under the bus a little bit here. I talked to the town
That's very
board at
interesting.
their last meeting. The agenda meeting, I conveyed the message that we gave to the attorney for Scott Ripley. I talked to him the day after the board meeting and Nate emailed me today at 4 and said he was on his way out of the office, but we really needed to talk about it. So I don't have an answer, but I did reach out and we will speak about it soon, I think. And table it, what we did.
I mean, far be it for me to, our position from day one has been the only thing that my client, and I don't even know if this is on the table at this point, given that I'm on 3, but what I've conveyed to Mary all along is that, you know, my client is not interested in granting a permanent easement to the town at this point to have that turnaround area. I offered that he may be willing to do some sort of license, would not be permanent and it's revocable upon notice. But my client has never given me the authority to say, yes, the town can have an easement, or yes, we can revise this configuration that the parties have agreed to and contracted to buy. You know, that has been honestly, I understand hearing different sides to a conversation that took place, but I can assure you, like, that has been the gist of my conversation with her from day one, that we're not doing a permanent easement. We've contracted to buy this lot and, you know, we expect to move forward on this application. So, I mean, I think that's been consistent with my conversation with Kristen, with the seller's attorney as well.
I mean, I think we're looking at it as the action that's being proposed is creating a situation that doesn't already exist. Nothing that we're asking for here is altering the configuration of the road or any of the existing easements. I mean, what it's doing is changing the ownership of an area that the town's been using without any legal permission for the last 20 years. So, you know, I think, you know, as far as wanting to have something in writing, to have, you know, a legal means to turn the vehicle around, it already exists. It's in the road dedication deed, even though it's in a location that really isn't convenient for anyone.
Right, I mean, Gina's not given the town permission to turn his trucks around there, ever. So. You know. Again.
The fact that it's been used for quite a long period of time that way, I don't know. And again, I'm not a lawyer. I can't really say.
But we're having a
speak.
conversation, I mean, this.
I don't know if like a road by use idea comes into play with that. I don't know. I really think that they should wait to get some advisement from the attorney and.
It's what's gonna happen.
Sure,
no matter
and
what.
yeah, I understand we're not doing anything tonight. I will tell you my position on that. A prescriptive easement does not grant you rights automatically after 10 years of use, right? A prescriptive easement is a road by use. If a private person uses a road in a certain manner, you know, hostile under claim of right, all of these various elements, then they can go to court and apply for a prescriptive easement. Just because the town has utilized this road for 10 years doesn't mean that you have any lawful rights now, unless the town elects that, you know, we are willing to go. And then nobody wants that. I don't want that. I'm sure you guys don't want that. But those rights have to be proven to a judge and you know, approved by a judge before it vests into anything meaningful. I mean, at this point, you know, Gina owns a 220 acre parcel or however big it is, and this is a little section in the corner. Like, it's a hard thing to prove. I've been on both sides of that a lot of times and.
And there's always eminent domain, so.
Sure, but
That's what we have to.
and that's your prerogative, certainly. The town has an attorney that can give it all of its,
And that's what we need to hear.
I mean, I think the
but it's
issue-
not germane to us. That has nothing to do with a site plan review on a lot line adjustment. If the town elects to do a public taking, like, that is another process that doesn't play out on the planning board level. I think that's a town board highway superintendent analysis. That's not part of site plan review. And certainly, like, that would also not be something my client wants, obviously, but it would, if the town pursued that, involve some sort of compensation to my client. Whereas to date, what Mary has offered is, we want a permanent easement and for nothing, for no consideration, just my client
I
is giving
understand.
up his land rights, right? So like, both of those options may or may not be options. I'm not gonna give you legal advice, but that would be something that should, if you would like to do whatever you like to do, or the town as a whole likes to do whatever, should have no bearing on this. Like, if you're gonna do, if say that you have all of the prescriptive easement, you wanna go forward with that. You could do that against Gina Gant, you could do that at Scott Ripley. A boundary line adjustment doesn't alter anything in that respect. And the same thing with a eminent domain. The town has the ability to take land for public use, but it is not. I need to be adamant on this point that it is not within the scope of. You guys don't handle those things. Like, if you've done it in the past, you're not involved at the outset of a taking or a prescriptive easement lawsuit. Like, we're here looking to reconfigure boundary lines and whatever rights the town may or may not have, is completely separate and apart from who owns the underlying parcel. And my client, this is a big deal for him. He's buying a lot of land. He's not a, wealthy man. He wants to have more land to build a house on, and it's beginning to financially and emotionally impact him that, this continues to drag on. With all due respect, I mean, I know you guys are trying to do your job, but like, this continues to drag on.
I'm gonna
with no
pause you
resolution.
there, because, okay, we're in a situation somewhat of your own making, where last month we were unable to close the discussion because that day Mary tried to call you and you were unable to take
I
a call.
disagree
and
with her
so
position,
She was
but that's fine.
unable to give us your side of explanations at that time, so we had to table the situation.
I'm just gonna look at.
Okay,
pictures,
so
yeah.
we had to table the situation last month, and then this month, you're not actually on the agenda. So we can't really do much moving forward this month on
Yeah.
that item. And also Mary's not here today. So just circumstance, we kind of are stuck in this. I don't think we're necessarily dragging things out to an unreasonable degree.
I meant no,
And so I don't,
but from my client's perspective, right, like. he was-
understandable, but I think that, no matter what, our hands are tied this month because A, you're not on the agenda, B, we still have to close the loop on the rest of the discussions with Mary.
Okay,
So I think,
so just to be
in terms
clear,
of trying to be constructive to move forward, next month, get on the agenda and we'll discuss things. with
Mary
Mary.
would be available after Monday. She's not available until Monday. So I will send her an email tomorrow and ask her to get back to me on Monday and ask her to listen to this conversation on YouTube. And we will see what we can do, whether we can move it forward any faster or whatever. But at no point has the board said whether they're denying or approving this boundary line adjustment. So it's just that they are not ready to make their decision until they wanted to get this one area resolved.
okay, so I'll just. Put forward to you, again, just to be clear, I've given this information to Mary. Weeks before now, if not months, that. My client and Gina Gant are not able or willing to give an easement to the town for that turnaround area. If that is the only, if the board has any other concerns about this project, other than, wanting that turnaround area. Where it's historically just kind of sprawled into, I am more than happy to address it, but if that's. The only concern that the town has, I don't think that there's anything before you that warrants anything other than an approval of this project when we're able to have a full conversation with your attorney here and, you know, everything in front of you, and certainly she can provide you her legal opinion. The idea of a special meeting is honestly truly appreciated, that I can go back to my client with something that says, you know, you guys want to work with him, you know, at least.
My problem would be, I'd like to have the lawyer here. She's not here to see if she can make the meeting.
I understand. I mean, and I'm not
So we
holding you
can't
to that,
set
but
any
even
meeting
the idea that you're, you know, willing to potentially do that if logistically is appreciated.
The good thing is the town meets twice before we come, because they meet on the 1st, and then 2 weeks later on the 15th, our meeting's the 22nd.
Right.
Mhm.
So if there's any problem,
It will be addressed.
yeah, well, I can talk to her, you can, about how we want to get this resolved as quickly as possible.
Right.
I understand.
We have to do it by special meeting. I'm definitely for a special meeting to get it resolved.
Like I said, since
If
Mary's not
it's
gonna be around, and I'd like to have her for the special meeting, so I'm not sure.
Well, I also don't know if there's any time periods that we have to post a special meeting. So I know with the town board, there is some time periods, but I don't know if that applies for planning boards or not.
Yeah.
So we gotta talk to
Right,
Mary.
exactly.
She's not available until Monday.
And if we can do it sooner, we will.
And-
try to accommodate.
And if not,
Appreciate
then
it.
July 22nd.
Right.
Get on the agenda and then we'll resolve everything then.
So just a point of clarification for me, so I don't do this again. Normally, in my experience, if it's tabled, it goes back on the agenda for the next meeting. What exactly, Karen, would it just be an email like saying we'd like to be put on next month's agenda? Or, like, what do I need to do to get out of tabled phase?
Basically on the 14th, which is Monday, a week and a half before our meeting,
Right.
you just let her know.
Because I'll do that right now.
Typically,
I would like to go on the record and say we would like to be on July 22nd.
22nd,
And
we
other
can put
table.
that in the
Or
record.
a special meeting or whatever we can do.
All
to
right,
Get
we
this on
can
the
put
agenda.
that in the record. We've just put it in the record.
Thank you.
And
You will be on the meeting.
the reason that I tabled it was because we didn't have a resolution.
Right. And we took the advice of our lawyer.
And I
Right.
don't think you will have a resolution before to that, but maybe, I mean, you
Well,
know,
she
if
can
the
talk
if the
about
town's
we
looking
can
for a
vote.
transactional, practical resolution. My client can't do anything, as I said, and Gina can't either, because she's under contract, so,
All right, that's the best we can do as of right now, and I will get to her Monday.
thank you.
Okay.
And thank you all. I again appreciate everything you guys do. It's 7:45. Thank you for allowing us the time to talk about it. Okay, and I look
Sorry
forward.
about unfortunately tabling that, like,
Well, if she wasn't here anyways, then it probably wouldn't have resolved
right,
itself tonight anyway. But
maybe.
yeah, no, I appreciate the time to just speak with you and offer our position, and you know, hopefully next month's meeting will be more.
And you're not the only one that gets frustrated with the process.
Oh, I understand the process. Like I'm not, my client personally is, but
But other people have the same.
yeah, no, I know. There's timeframes and all that need to be adhered to, and you guys are trying to do the right thing. So, thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you next month, okay?
It's a Tuesday, July 22nd, not a Wednesday. We're trying to stay away from the concert so people can concert on Wednesday
Oh,
nights.
okay.
Just in July, that's it. That's the only time we change it. Right.
July 22nd.
Tuesday.
Fish stuff out of his pocket. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so everybody have a chance to look at the minutes back on June.
Early.
Any changes or?
I'll make a motion to approve the May 28th meeting minutes.
I'll second.
There you go, yes.
Minutes, all there? Any opposed?
No.
And last, any old or new business?
I don't have anything to report at this point.
Anybody else?
I have a question. What are all the trailers on Stewart Drive by your house? They're like trailers there's like 2 or 3 trailers parked next to a house
Really?
on Stewart Drive. It's a mess down there.
Yeah, I haven't been down there. See, I can't see it from my house.
We'll have to go down and look because if they're there, they've got to be moved to the side and rear yards.
They are, but I don't think the people are even living in the house anymore.
I can't do anything
Yeah.
about that.
Okay. I was
These
just
are
concerned.
like
I mean, it's,
recreational trailers or like construction
RV.
trailers?
oh, there's RVs and then they put things around the bottom to heat them and air conditioners and.
So they're 24 hours a day?
Oh, yeah,
So
there was 2 or 3 there. at
Turning
one-
into like a mobile home
Yeah.
park on the
There
side of
was
the
2
road.
or 3 there at one point.
We had discussed this RV issue here at the planning board before.
Yeah.
It came up with a resolution which we recommended to the town board. They did not accept it, so the issue is still unresolved with the town board as to what we're going to do about them until the town board comes up with something that they can agree on. I am not enforcing anything
Okay.
at this point.
Right, because we spent a lot of time
We did.
going through and, it was a very, very fair proposal.
Yeah.
It's a reoccurring issue.
And this particular lot has a house, so they can park and store one in the side and rear yard.
At one point, there was 3 there.
It doesn't limit the number.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Okay.
However, if you have more than 2, it's supposed to be considered a campground. That's only in the definition of
Right.
campground.
I believe there's 1 there now. There was 2. At one point, there was 3. Then it went back to, it's.
But there are places, Tony, all over town that are like this. I mean, you go down Coles Drive in the summer,
Oh, yeah,
you go by Hayes Drive in the summer.
I agree.
Yep.
But these are like, they're year round.
I understand that.
Right
I'm
across.
just bringing it up
Wow.
because
Is it
it's,
By your mother's, right across from your mother's house?
no, it's
Before that?
Waltz's house,
Oh, okay, I know where that is.
Waltz's old house.
And I think it's something that you come to the town board about and
Mm.
discuss with them and say, hey, maybe we need to make it.
Well, again, we do have that grant to do the zoning ordinance. Once we get that RFP done and we get that moving,
Right,
that's
we-
one of the things in there, and we've already got a proposal as to what to put there. So I'm hoping that that's going to resolve it. It's, you can, but it's a local law with a public hearing and all kinds of stuff. So
We were very, very fair in what we proposed. Very.
I
fair.
agree with you.
What did you propose?
To make anyone that wanted to live or stay in a camper on their property had to go through a site plan review for a special use permit, because a special use permit requires a public hearing every time. So if anyone in the neighborhood had objections or wanted certain things done to disguise it or hide it or whatever, they could bring it forward in a public hearing position in the town, and the planning board could possibly set conditions on an approval. It would also eliminate the problem of what is happening with all of the waste to these places that are put up, and that's a huge
What is
issue.
happening to the waste?
What is it that's happening? It just looks trashy?
They could be dumping it on the ground.
No, like the food. the
Oh,
food.
oh.
Yeah, they could be, where's it going?
So there were issues they came up with,
So there's not good proper management of the
There's
sewage.
no
Nothing.
sewage management.
right,
And if they're just parked there permanently, they're not moving it to dump it in a.
if they're staying or living in it, yes.
That's just gross.
Mhm.
It's
So,
got a reek.
and the other issue
Public
is
health
that
issue.
there are past records, town board records of meetings where the attorney for the town at the time said that it was okay, there was no violation of the zoning ordinance. And they also had a bunch of people that came in and challenged the town board on it, and the issue got put aside and nothing was
Is that
done on
why
it.
the town
So-
didn't accept the last round of?
They wanted,
Do we want to go off the record? Sorry.
we are not off the record yet.
We're still.
Yeah.
But there were things they wanted, they didn't agree to. Some of the town board at the time wanted to limit the age of the RVs to 10 years. And some of them wanted to limit the amount of time that the RVs were allowed on the property for a period of 6 months between May and October, and there were arguments about I might want to use mine for hunting and for skiing, and that 6 months was not appropriate, and you might have a 10-year-old RV that is in excellent condition. I might own one that is not, and it's kind of, it's a call of who takes care of one, you know, if one 20 years old might be in better condition than one 10 years old, depending upon how well you took care of it. There were a lot of, there was a lot of dialogue between all of the town board people, and it got tabled and nothing got
I
done.
think one of the big things was. Some people have been doing it for years and they would have had to like throw them out or move them. They couldn't do it and they weren't gonna do that because people have been doing it for.
I mean, if you go around town, they are all over town.
And
That's
we're
what they're
gonna
afraid of.
assign a fee.
Yep, we were gonna do it with a fee.
And live there.
It was like a year, 1 year, 5-year fee, and but if there was. If they had any violations, so what was it? Was it that we were gonna give them like 3 or 5 years? But, and they could renew it
I don't
every
know,
year.
I've got it
Yeah.
in my stuff.
So basically, it's gonna be right across the board. There's no grandfather clauses that starts from this
No, we
point
talked
forward.
about grandfathering a man if, you know.
Anyway, it didn't get passed, it
Right.
didn't get resolved,
So even if they do it again, there's gonna be people that are doing it now who will be grandfathered in anyway.
maybe,
But a
maybe not.
decision needs to
Depending
be,
what they decide.
but a
Good.
decision needs to be made, and it's a different board now, too.
Yep.
The
Well,
board-
another thing that kind of falls under that same category is tiny homes, because. And of course, that's why the grant, I think we need more movement on the grant, but. But yeah, anything under 500 square foot is not a dwelling. And so you get RVs that look like mobile homes, but they're just under that 500 square foot where it doesn't become a principal building.
Yeah.
And so it's technically not a livable.
But
Sure.
trailer parks, you have to pay. Trailer parks have to pay and get
Yes.
inspected every year.
It'd actually be a completely different board comes January because. Three positions change.
Really?
Well, Gene's gonna retire. And then somebody else is stepping down, so that leaves. Who's running for Gene's place? Jim Niles.
Jim Niles.
So.
Pam Pettis is running and
Pam Pettis and
So is Pam still on the planning
Fred.
board? She's
till
still,
the end of the year.
okay.
Fred, is it Fred, who's the other, is it guy running? For the other position?
Okay.
Isn't this Fred? I think he's on my board of the. He's the judge here.
Hayes.
Fred
Gillis?
Gillis?
Isn't he the one
He's,
that's running?
he's not gonna be on
He's
it
not-
now.
No, it's not.
On the
So-
town
Hey,
board.
yeah.
It's Pam.
Yeah, I think
Um,
it's the other, it's the guy. Is he on the zoning board? Maybe.
yes,
That's what.
Burgess of it.
Burgess of it.
Really?
Burgess, Pam Pettis, and then Jim Niles will be the new, nobody's going against.
So
it
you're gonna
now.
say Howard Schaefer?
So that'll affect the zoning board too, then.
Yep.
We'll be losing members of the planning and zoning.
Does anyone have anything else? Somebody else had a question or something?
Anything else, full new business?
No, we're good.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
I.
Okay, Tucker, you can cut it.